Thanks so much for being with us here on Atlanta News First Plus. I'm Joy Limnacker, joined by Sean Ilders, who is the Director of Child Care at Georgia Sheriff's Youth Homes, an amazing organization. Thank you so much for being with us, Mr. Ilders. First of all, I just want to start by just letting everyone know, if you can, a little bit about really what the mission is of what you do.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to come in and talk about our program. The Georgia Sheriff Youth Homes is sponsored by the Georgia Sheriff's Association, which is made up of the 159 sheriffs of the state of Georgia. And we have been serving the needs of children in some capacity since 1961, so for quite a long time. What we are is we are composed of 5 residential campuses located throughout the state, and we provide long-term residential care to abused, abandoned, neglected, mistreated children. And then we also have a camp program that we run in the summers on one of our campuses at Camp Pioneer. So we're impacting the lives of upwards of 500 children a year through our residential programs and through our camp program. And go ahead.
Oh, no, I just, we got a chance to speak before we went onto the stream, but I love you were sharing with me some of the information about what you do to support their education, even beyond high school, if they want to pursue higher education as well.
Absolutely. We think that all of our children are coming from traumatic backgrounds, and we feel one of the most important things we can offer them is the opportunity to achieve academically. All of our children go to public schools in the communities located nearby the campuses. And one of the things that makes us a pretty unique program is if a child stays with us through their time in high school and they graduate high school, we will support their secondary education pursuits, whether that's a 2-year junior college, a 4-year university, trade school if they want to learn a trade. We help them if they want to transition into the military or transition into the workforce. We help that as well. But in terms of the academic piece of it, we partner with several higher learning institutions throughout the state that offer us some scholarships. Of course, we apply for financial aid for our children just like parents do for their children. And then whatever gaps are in that, the Georgia Sheriff's Association and Georgia Sheriff Youth Homes raise the money to fill in those gaps, and we will support them all the way through school. At this time, I think we have 6 or 7 college students that were residents in our programs that are at some level of finishing up pursuing their degrees in some higher learning environment.
And the level of support is so impressive. You even told me that you would raise funds and provide funds for those, for those students to basically focus on their studies and have some pocket money and not have to take on a job so that they can be on a level playing field with other students.
That's correct. We want our children that are in the pursuing a college degree to make that their focus, to make that essentially their job, to be a full-time student. So we make sure that they have, living arrangements. We make sure that they have, if they're on campus, have proper meal plans. We give them essentially a stipend or an allowance per month for, some spending money to help offset the cost of a cell phone or going out and getting a pizza or going to a movie or something like that. As long as they're pursuing their degree, they're on track with their classes, and they are, they're in a degree program. It's not an opportunity to be a professional student forever. You have to have a goal in mind, but as long as they're working towards that goal, we'll support that. We've had plenty of young people come through our programs to get college degrees, up to and including a young man who came through our program who's a medical doctor now. We supported him all the way through medical school. So it's something that we believe that gives them an opportunity to break the cycle of poverty and violence and substance abuse that most of our children come from. And if they can maximize their academic potential, that oftentimes will lead to other opportunities to help them stay out of negative situations later on in life.
It's amazing. And so what you're doing is not just providing resources and a pathway, but, you shared with me that your background is in psychology, and, the psychological, the spiritual piece of it, the emotional piece of it is so important because we're talking about children who, in many cases, have survived extreme trauma, maybe abuse or abandonment in some cases, from what I understand. Can you share a little bit more about that and the kind of support that these young people get?
Absolutely. Nobody comes to live at the youth homes because things were good where they were at. So all of our children are a victim of some type of trauma. So we work with providers that make sure that we're meeting all mental health needs. We're making sure that they have appropriate counseling where needed. We're making sure that if they need any type of medication for anything, that they're seeing the proper type of psychiatrist to make sure that's in place. And one of the things that, really sets our program apart is we still operate on the house parent model. So, we have house parents that live in the home with our children 365 days a year. So we're doing everything we can to create a loving, nurturing, structured environment for our children to heal, recover, and ultimately grow and to reach their potential. We work, again, we want all of our families, we consider them all our children, so all part of our families, all of our cottages and all of our families, we want those children to be integrated into the community. All of our children go to public schools. All of our children are involved in extracurricular activities if they choose to be. Our house parents take them to the church of their choice in the community. We really want those house parents to be the heads of those families. And then each of our campuses has a resident director and a social worker on campus to make sure that the services are in place to support those children. All of our staff members, house parents, anybody who has direct responsibilities taking care of children, we undergo at least 24 hours a year of continuing education to make sure we're up to date on all the latest techniques and opportunities to support and nurture and help our children recover.
And it is incredible. I mean, you're talking a little bit about the house parents. You live on site as well. So the people who really make it possible for this to happen are, it's not just a 9-to-5 job. I mean, they're really trading in a traditional or normal kind of way of living to essentially devote their lives to the well-being of these children.
That's absolutely correct. It is not a 9-to-5 job. Raising children doesn't stop at 5 o'clock and doesn't start at 9 o'clock in the morning. Each of our campuses has a director who lives on campus that is there to help support the house parents and the children on campus. So in the event of any type of emergency, you get a kid that, is playing basketball and falls and hurts his leg, and you got to take him to the emergency room. You got somebody there to help with that sort of stuff. Sometimes we'll get calls at 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night that a child needs a place and they need it that night. So, there's been a lot of nights I'll come down and open the office up and we'll do an intake at Friday night at 10 o'clock. Mm-hmm. That's just part of, what we have to do to make sure we're meeting the needs of the children. The house parents live in the homes with the children. They're there. That's their home. They share that home with the children. They have, a lot of times, house parents will have children of their own, and it's just incorporated into that family unit that each of our children are a part of.
That is incredible. It's truly incredible. But the success rate is very impressive. I mean, what you're doing is clearly working. You shared with me really what I found to be a beautiful story of a young man who came to the youth homes as a teenager and got his education there and really went on to become very successful and is now working there. Is that right?
That's correct. Yes, there's young man that was at the Boys Ranch when I got there 23 years ago. He was, in middle school at the time. He finished middle school and high school with us, went to college. We supported that. He finished his college degree, did some time in the military, did some time in the reserves, and then came back and came to work for us as a house parent initially, him and his wife. And they did that. He was in that role for several years. He got his degree and got into doing some of the social work piece for us, and he did that for several years for us. And then after that, he wanted to go back and be a house parent because he really felt like that's where he could have the most impact with his children, and did that for several years. And then, of course, during this time, we had talked about, I had identified this young man as somebody who was very intelligent, very committed to our program, and certainly would be a resource for us going forward. And we talked about what it would take to be, in administration in one of our programs, and he went back and did the academic work to do that. And then a little over a year ago, there was an opportunity. We needed a director at one of our other campuses, and I was able to hire him into that role. And he's been there for a year, is doing a wonderful job at that campus, lives there on that campus with his family, his wife, his 3 children. And, we were mentioning his life now, his children will never know a life like he knew as a young person in foster care, in a residential program, having been the victims of, neglect and abuse and those sorts of things. His children will never know a life like that. So within our program, not only are we impacting the lives of the children who are living with us at any given time, if we're doing our jobs right, we're affecting some generational change. And going forward, those children will never know a life that their father knew. And that's because of the opportunities the sheriffs and the Georgia Sheriff Youth Homes was able to provide for that young man.
Incredible, incredible work. How can people support what you're doing?
Well, obviously, finances. We're a 501c3 nonprofit, so we're dependent on fundraising and the kindness and generosity of others. They can go to our website, the GeorgiaSheriffYouthHomes.org, and there's opportunities there to get online and give online. If you live within proximity of one of our campuses, reach out to the campus and the campus director and see what they may need on campus. We're very fortunate. Just for an example, recently here at the Boys Ranch, one of the local schools did a supply drive for us, and they asked what did we need. And obviously, when you're serving children in a program like that, you need things like paper towels and toilet paper and bleach and washing laundry detergent and things of that nature. So reach out to a campus and ask what they need, and they can give you a list of, hey, we need cleaning supplies, household items, toothbrushes, toothpaste, school supplies, all the way up to and including things like washers and dryers and things of that nature. And come out and visit one of our campuses, see what you would be supporting. That can be arranged through any of the resident directors on the campuses. We have 5 campuses located throughout the state of Georgia. We have one in Lowndes County, which is the Georgia Sheriff's Boys Ranch. That is our initial program that we've been serving children at that location since 1961. We have a campus in LaGrange, Georgia, Troup County, Pineland. We have one down in Swainsboro, around Swainsboro, called Harrington Homestead. That's where I was talking about the young man who's now the director there. He's down there at that campus. We have one in Dalton, Georgia, Cherokee Estates, and then one in Chatsworth, Georgia, Mountain View. So we're located geographically north, south, east, and west across the state. So, if you're close by, come out and make arrangements, come out and tour the campus, talk to the resident director. And, there's even opportunities to volunteer. We have folks come out and will volunteer to help with our study hall programs and help, with the academic pursuits of our children. All of our children get tutoring. So there's lots of opportunities to give back, financially and otherwise. So just, reach out to the local campuses, go online, look at our website, see what opportunities they have there, and we certainly would be very grateful of any support that we could get.
Absolutely. You're doing an amazing thing. Thanks again for being with us, Sean Eilders, who is the Director of Child Care at Georgia Sheriff's Youth Homes. Thanks for being with us.